The global economy is once again entering uncertain waters. On August 1, 2025, a sweeping new set of tariffs issued by former President Donald Trump, now the Republican nominee for the 2025 election, officially took effect, targeting dozens of countries across Asia, Europe, and the Americas. In a dramatic and controversial move, the Trump campaign confirmed that the tariffs are not merely symbolic. They are enforceable immediately and have already begun reshaping international trade dynamics. The policy, dubbed the America First Trade Restoration Plan, imposes up to 60% duties on imports ranging from electronics and steel to pharmaceuticals, rare earth minerals, and even food products. Over 42 countries are affected. Among them are traditional U.S. allies such as Germany, Japan, South Korea, and the United Kingdom. Even Canada and Mexico, America's two largest trading partners under the USMCA, are not spared. The decision has sent shockwaves through diplomatic circles. Several nations have already filed complaints with the World Trade Organization, accusing the U.S. of violating international trade law and breaching bilateral agreements. Trump's team claims the tariffs are necessary to reverse the massive trade deficits he says have hollowed out America's industrial base. According to the policy document released by the campaign, the new tariffs aim to punish predatory trade partners, reduce America's reliance on foreign manufacturing, and protect domestic jobs in sectors like steel, auto, and semiconductors. China is among the hardest hit. Tariffs on Chinese goods now range from 30% to 60%, covering everything from electric vehicle components to solar panels and telecom equipment. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce quickly condemned the action, warning that it would trigger a forceful countermeasure. Chinese state media accused Trump of economic aggression and hinted at potential retaliation in the form of export controls on lithium, graphite, and other strategic materials. European leaders were equally alarmed. German Chancellor Johannes Adler called the tariffs a reckless disruption of international order and warned that Europe would not remain passive. The European Union is already in the process of drafting counter-tariffs that would target American agricultural products, aircraft components, and big tech. In the UK, Prime Minister Victoria Hayes expressed deep disappointment at the sudden escalation, emphasizing that the UK had sought to maintain a balanced trading relationship with the United States. Canada has recalled its ambassador from Washington for consultations. The Canadian Minister of Trade accused the Trump campaign of weaponizing economic policy to stoke political nationalism. The stock markets reacted instantly. Global indices saw sharp volatility in the days leading up to the tariff implementation. The S&P 500 slid 2.4% the day after the announcement. Industrial and manufacturing stocks dipped sharply, while gold prices surged. American business leaders are deeply divided. The National Association of Manufacturers warned that the tariffs would spark inflation and damage American competitiveness. In contrast, several unions, especially in the Rust Belt, have applauded the move, saying it gives American factories a fighting chance. The automotive sector is bracing for impact. Car manufacturers that rely on globally integrated supply chains are facing higher costs, particularly for parts sourced from South Korea, Mexico, and Germany. Small and medium-sized businesses are also raising red flags. Many rely on foreign suppliers to keep costs down, and are warning that the tariffs could trigger price hikes that will ultimately fall on American consumers. Tech companies are on edge. The tariffs include levies on semiconductors from Taiwan and South Korea, raising fears of a slowdown in the tech hardware sector. Critics point out that Trump's approach may backfire by triggering a global trade war that isolates the U.S. and damages long-standing alliances. Supporters argue that decades of globalism have left America vulnerable, and that strong action is necessary to reclaim sovereignty over its economy. The Trump campaign insists that the tariffs are only the beginning. According to internal policy drafts, if elected, Trump plans to implement a universal baseline tariff of 10% on all imports, not just those from adversarial nations. The broader vision includes forcing corporations to bring supply chains back to the U.S., reshaping international labor dynamics, and reducing dependency on China for critical goods. Many economists warn of the long-term damage this could cause. The Peterson Institute for International Economics estimates that the tariffs could reduce U.S. GDP growth by as much as 1.2% annually if global retaliation escalates. International supply chains are already showing signs of disruption. Ports in Asia have reported sudden drops in container traffic headed to the U.S., while cargo shipments from the EU are being rerouted. Allies are beginning to question America's reliability. Diplomats from France, Japan, and Australia have issued joint statements expressing concern that the United States is turning inward at a time when multilateral cooperation is most needed. Meanwhile, Trump's message is resonating with large segments of the American electorate. In swing states like Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, blue-collar voters are rallying behind the tariffs, viewing them as a bold step to revive American industry. The Biden administration has offered no official comment, though internal sources say the White House is monitoring the situation closely. It remains unclear how the current administration will navigate the political tightrope balancing global partnerships with a domestic electorate that is increasingly skeptical of free trade. While the full economic consequences of the tariffs will take months to materialize, one thing is certain: the global trade landscape has shifted overnight. And the world is now watching to see whether this bold gamble will revive American manufacturing or set off a chain reaction of global retaliation that the U.S. economy may not be prepared for.